How's it going, Knight fans? Welcome once again to Holding Court with the coach, Todd Dagenais. I'm Jeff Sharon. UCF coming off what was one of the toughest weekends of the season, showing up very well, taking on the top two teams in Conference USA against Tulsa and against SMU. The Knights fall short in both matches, but very good effort on both Friday and Sunday for the UCF volleyball team. And coach, we're going to start with a look at Tulsa. Hey, we knew what they were coming in. It's like what Denny Green said when he was in the Arizona Cardinals. They were who we thought they were. They're an excellent team, but we rode with them step for step, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. And, that first set was really, that was a lot of fun. That showed how well we can compete at times when we keep our consistency. And, we just fell one or two kills short in that game. But looking back at that whole match, we look at the stats, because the stats dictate if we had a good game plan or not. And we held them, again, twice this year now. We've held them well below their season averages. They're all Galaxy player, Tyler Henderson. We kept her in control. Their right side went off on us last time. We kept her in control. So, we did a lot of really nice things. They're just the number 24 team in the country, and they are what we want to be someday. We're not there yet, but we're striving to get there. And boy, they really are a nice-looking team right now.
You told me after the match, you said the thing that you were most proud of was the fact that your team competed their tails off in that match, and that's really important to see. Getting up. I mean, obviously, if you don't get up for the number 24 team in the country, there's something wrong with you. But to not be afraid, no matter what happens, that was what was key.
Sure, and I thought when we were there, we were scared, and I was, you hope that, at this point where we are, that we don't get, scared or nervous, and we were, and it controlled us. Here, there was nothing. There was nothing like that. Nothing but let's go out there and let's win. It wasn't even let's compete. It was let's go out there and win. And, I thought we were able to maintain that mentality for a pretty long time. I never felt like we got dominated in that match. We got beat, but we never really got dominated.
Yeah. Now, it wasn't easy coming back right after that. I mean, obviously it was on the road. Obviously, with the SMU Tulsa on the road trip, you come back, you play SMU on Sunday. You guys fall in four. Things looked pretty good as we went into the break. We're tied at 1. Thrilling second set in that match. UCF wins at 31-29, and things sort of began to unravel late in the third. Tell me what happened that was sort of the momentum swing that allowed SMU to jump out in front.
Well, we knew that they were going to make a rotation change between games 2 and 3, and we had the discussion. They'd like to start. They like to start in rotation 1. That brought their right side hitter across the front row, and that made the most sense. Then they went to rotation 2 in the second game. We beat them. I thought they would go back to 1. They actually went to 3. And when they went to rotation 3, that was going to be a bad matchup for us. It matched up some of their strengths on our weaknesses. And, we really didn't talk much about it with the team, but as a coaching staff, we knew that was going to pose some challenge for us. And it did. And we just never found any rhythm that game, and they just kept going to their strength, going to their strength, going to their strength. And they were able to kind of walk away with that one.
One of the confidence builders I thought coming off of that match was the fact that the only visible difference from my amateur eye was that they looked like the more experienced team. The talent level seemed to me to be pretty even. Is that what you would say as well?
Yeah, I think that's the case with both teams. I think Tyler Henderson for Tulsa is an exception. I mean, that's a Pac-10, Big 12, Big 10 level athlete playing in Conference USA. But yeah, no, everybody else, I feel like, our players could be on their team, their players could be on our team. The difference is that their players have 2 or 3 years under their belt of college volleyball. And I think ultimately when you're deciding sets by 3 and 4 points, that's light years of age difference. And, that could very well be. I just felt like they made some really nice plays, and we couldn't score enough points. That's the thing. We have to score more points when we get in those kinds of battles.
SMU did get the victory in 4. One of the other bright spots, though, who was scoring points for you, Jelly Crump has really stepped it up as we've gone into this second half of the season. We start to see her going more. We start to see the team going to her more and more in critical junctures. And I think one of the other keys is the fact that SMU is a good team. They had no answer for her when she was out there.
Right. And I thought we knew it was a matter of time before Angelica started to show these signs of really being a dominant outside hitter. And, you know, we've been spoon-feeding her a quarter of the playbook, a half the playbook, you know, creating a little bit more range, and it's almost time to take the training wheels off. We're almost there. I can't just turn her loose yet, but it's almost time to turn her loose. And there's going to be a bit of a regression when we do turn her loose, because she's going to be trying to do things that she hasn't had experience doing. But she's pretty close, and we're probably at that point where it's time to just let her go and let her prosper. And I just, you know, I can't wait to see what she's going to become, because she's every bit the athlete that Tyler Henderson is. She's actually a little bit bigger, and I think she's got a stronger arm, and she could be a dominating hitter in this conference as she gets more experience.
I wanted to ask you about the other players that come from that class. Jelly is obviously a redshirt freshman, but she's a sophomore here. This is her second season on campus. She just didn't play last year. The other players who've really stepped it up for you, people like Meredith Murphy, who has just become solid as can be at the libero position in particular. I really think that she has shown some terrific strides this season, and it's like you don't even worry about her. And you look on the roster, and it's only her second season in college volleyball.
Sure, yeah, she's still, you know, she doesn't even have 100 matches under her belt yet. I think it's probably, she's somewhere in the range of about 50 matches under her belt right now. And she's just settling in. And now it's not so much about her and how she prepares. Now she's preparing the team, and she's calling the defenses. And, you know, she's acting like what you have as a middle linebacker in football, calling schemes, seeing tendencies, making changes, making suggestions, and we're getting that out of somebody who hasn't even finished her sophomore year yet. So she has made some huge strides, and that's one of the benefits of letting your young players play. And we have no choice. Our young players have to play, and some nights they're going to prosper, and some nights they're going to falter. And you know, we're starting to see where she's stringing matches in weeks together without faltering, and we're not going to worry about the libero position for some time now.
Those two players aside, when you're talking about the younger class, this year and the year before, who, in your opinion, really deserves some props for stepping it up this season?
Well, I think if you're looking specifically in the sophomore class, I think we just talked about her. You know, Meredith is the one that has stepped up to really take control of the team, and she's shown a lot of leadership, not only on the court but off the court as well. You know, the other sophomores, you know, Rydell, you know, is playing. I think Rydell's playing really well. Tori McCutcheon's hitting for some decent numbers, and so, you know, they're all stepping up, and they're all playing their role. And we need to get in a situation where they're playing in their role every single night, and that's the next step for us. They can do it on some nights, but we need them to really do it on most nights, if not every night.
We got a couple of big nights coming up this week as UCF does head on the road. It's the Memphis UAB trip. Friday against Memphis, Sunday against UAB on the road. You can check out those matches live on UCFathletics.com through All Access. This is a big juncture in the season now as we wind things down. There's sort of a logjam around 6th place. We're sort of in that logjam with Memphis and UAB. Tulane has one match in hand. They have a half-game lead right now. Tell me how important this weekend is for determining where this team is, in your opinion, where they should go from here.
Well, it's a big weekend because we're playing teams that are tied with us. And anytime you're playing somebody that's tied with you, you have an opportunity not to just put one game, but to technically put 2 games between you and them by beating them. And so, you know, this is the home stretch. This is where championship teams decide they're a championship team, and this is where we assert our will at the end of a season. This is why we train, this is why we lift, this is why we run. So we're in a position health-wise to make a season-ending run. I challenged the team today. We had a good team meeting, and you know, I drew a train with several cars behind it on the board. And I said, you know, this car represents our preseason, this car is the first quarter of our season, this car is the second quarter, this car is the third quarter, and this car is the fourth quarter. And the fourth quarter was connected to the engine, and the engine is us. And I said, this is the time of year where we have to pull the pin on all those other cars, and we have to let them go. That means we have to let the losses go, but we have to let Southern Miss go. We have to let the games that we played against Tulsa and Baylor and the near misses against SMU, it's time to let all that go. And the only thing that we focus on, the only car that's attached to the engine, are the 4 matches ahead of us. That's it. That's all we focus on right now. Because as you get through the year, there's so much baggage that's in your trunk, at some point you have to pull the pin, you have to let it go. And that's really how you start fresh and finish strong as you're heading down the stretch. So hopefully it's a mental game that we can play with ourselves where we let everything go. And that allows us to forget the fatigue that we're going through and forget the little nagging injuries that we have. Because really we're pretending that it's August 10th and we just started practice. And we've got 4 matches. We got a 4-match season. And 4 matches are going to define how we remember the season. Last season, we had a challenging year, injury-wise and record-wise, but we go into that last match and we beat South Florida, and really it makes the whole year seem a lot better. And we're going to set records this year, and having a strong finish and finishing on a real high positive note is really going to make this an epic year or a banner year for us as we go forward.
So it sounds to me like you are really looking to baptize the team by fire in this last 4 weeks. It's what, when you go through the heat, it's what melts you down and makes you stronger at the same time. Right,
and because as we go into the future, these 4 matches are going to determine if we're going to be conference champions, or if we're not going to be conference champion, it's going to determine our ability to get an at-large bid into the NCAA tournament. You've got to be strong these last 4 matches, and you study championship teams; they find a way in the last 2 weeks of the year to make a statement, and we're going to practice that this year. Because starting next year and the year after, it's going to make a huge difference on what we're doing in December.
Yeah. Big picture-wise also, I wanted to ask you about this because this is something that came to my mind. When you're talking about preparing for these last 4 matches now, there is no conference tournament anymore. So how has that changed your preparation, and how has that changed the team's outlook as we go down these last 2 weeks of the season?
Sure. A lot of coaches view the conference tournament as a one-time shot where anybody can catch lightning in a bottle. And that's true. That's exactly what it is. And for that reason, I'm not in favor of it. You'd think that a team that's going to finish 6th, 7th, or 8th would want the chance to win the conference. I just don't think that's healthy for our conference. I don't think that's healthy for our sport. And so, it really, a lot of times it's easy to let a team just slide and then kick it in for the conference tournament.
Yep.
We don't do that. Every single match has equal value all the way across. And I think it's forced all coaches in the conference to really pace themselves smartly and not plan to try and be good just one weekend. You have to try and be good all the weekends. And so I think that's a really healthy positive for not only our team, but for the conference as a whole.
So UCF heading into, like we said, this big road weekend coming up at Friday at Memphis, Sunday at UAB, and then things finish up with UTEP. You'll be able to catch those matches online on All Access, the road matches in particular, and also all the home matches as well on All Access on UCFathletics.com as UCF heads down the stretch. And like we said, this is now the time. This is the time, like Billy Joel said, the time to remember where you have to go through and figure out what you're going to do. We put everything behind us with Tulsa and SMU. It should be a lot of fun coming out through because, like we said, we're only 3 games out of 5th. Anything can happen in the last 2 weeks as well, right?
Sure, I think so. And you're seeing teams that are hitting that wall. They're hitting that fatigue factor. And so you're going to see some crazy things happen, not only in our conference, but nationally in the next few weeks. And, we're going to just do our best to get what we can out of the season and continue to break records and continue to really set the standard and set the bar of where we want to go.
You mentioned that nationally, this is, as we're going to finish up here in just a second, last quick question for you. This might be one of the weirdest seasons ever in college volleyball. Maybe even more weird than the one you're talking about 10, 15 years ago when Tennessee made it to the Final Four. Is this season maybe jumped that shark as well?
Well, I think here's the reason why. There's just not a good team. There's not one. Let me rephrase it. There's not one great team. There's a bunch of really good teams, and like we talked about earlier, there's 8 teams that have a chance to win a national championship. If they can do it at the right time.
Oh, it's going to be fun. Remember, UCF takes on Memphis on Friday on the road, and then they head to UAB. Follow all UCF's matches live on UCFathletics.com for all your news and updates for UCF Volleyball as well. You can also visit UCF Volleyball's Facebook page, facebook.com/UCF Volleyball, and twitter.com. UCF's handle is UCF_volleyball. For the coach, Todd Dagenais, I'm Jeff Sharon. This has been Holding Court. We'll catch you again next week when UCF comes back from the road trip.